So in this project, so what I have here to get this started is two files. I have a site plan and I have a floor plan of my project. Both of these projects have a coordination point at 0, 0. That's right here and right here. And so that base file pretty much will lay into this site plan. So I'm going to use these files to coordinate my work both in the site and floor to floor. The first thing I'm going to demonstrate is how to bring in some SketchUp content from 3D Warehouse. So I'm going to just start by deleting the lady right there and going to the 3D Warehouse. And in the 3D Warehouse, there is a church that somebody has modeled that is sitting on my site. And I'm going to download that church file. It's right here. So this could be something you find on the web in 3D Warehouse, or it could be a file that a colleague is working in SketchUp and using. It works kind of the same. You can see here, this is the file. One thing is that Revit isn't really going to read these baked on textures from 3D Studio. And so it's really going to be a question of the geometry. So I just want to look at the geometry using the face style. Make sure that I have some good, nice polygons. As you can see, this is pretty good model, pretty usable, pretty recognizable. The other thing about this is that there's often terrain in these models. You can see when I toggle the terrain on and off, I can get these terrain elements. And I'm going to delete that. You can leave those in, but most of the time they'll just kind of get in your way, clutter up your model. And also anything that is a component, you're going to want to explode in this file. You can see here all of the different components. That's just going to make Revit be able to read all this geometry in the correct way. So I'm going to start here with the terrain and unlock it. And as I unlock it, I will delete it out of the file. Sometimes you have to do this a couple times. So I just toggle the terrain again, unlock that, get rid of that, and then take the rest of the church and explode these components. There's still another one here. Explode that. There we go. So now I have kind of clean exploded geometries in this file. Yep. And that's ready to be taken into 3D Studio. Revit. So what I'll do is I'll save this file. Somewhere I can find it. And then go into Revit. And what I want to do is bring this in as a family. So I'm going to create a new family. And this wants to be a generic model template. So pick metric generic model here. That up. And then insert the CAD. Basically, it reads it as a CAD. And you'll want to come in here and go to SketchUp Files, SKP. I'll pick that up. And just go origin to origin. And you can see here my geometry comes in plan, and go to the 3D view. Get a nice clean model for the 3D view. Shaded, looks pretty good. So that's ready to come into my site. Yep. So now I want to save this family out. Oh, I think I've already done that. Okay, let's switch to creating a new project. Using my template here. So I kind of like working in a project setting right off the bat and not in the mass modeler, because I can start setting up my project standards almost right off the bat, even at an early stage. Start laying out sheets if I need to, get some of these levels coordinated. But But then I can always go back and forth. If I need to take something back into a mass model or develop a mass model or go into Vasari, I can do that. But I've already set up a project file with some standards way ahead of time, and I can use that time later to my advantage. But quickly going into my first floor plan, I'll insert my CAD link. Back here to PWG. And what I'll do here is click this current view only checkbox, and that allows me to set up multiple views of multiple sites without cluttering up the drawing. And the other thing is be sure to always say, auto origin to origin. There. And it's cropped, so I'll uncrop that. Okay. And then the other thing is to bring in the site information, so bring that in as a link. And then here I'll uncheck this because I want to use this as a 3D view. There. So now there's my site. When I go to my 3D view, there's my site again. Okay. And if I want to go ahead and start mass modeling, I go to massing and site, in place mass. It'll turn on the mass view so I can see it. Call this building mass. And then start working on an extrusion. Use some of the geometry I have there. And click that profile, create form, and a solid form. And I can do this sort of, all at once, or I can go to my elevations and establish, my, oops. Oh yeah, that's one thing about modeling it on the site. You don't always get it to start at the level you really want it. So what I just did there was go to the bottom and tab. As you tab, you can select surfaces or edges. Usually 2 tabs will get you the surface and not the edge of the box. And I can lock that if I want to. And then here, tab twice again, and I can say, okay, well, that just needs to go to plan 2 or whatever. Finish this mass. Oops. And here's where I can, add a few more levels if I need to, or adjust the levels and name those correctly, and then obviously bring all that over for my view. So mass modeling, in this environment is pretty easy. What you want to do sometimes is maybe, bring that out, edit in place. You can model along the base of something by just kind of hovering over it, and it'll immediately go to the base, create form, create extrusions and features there. And then obviously if you need to create a void in something, that's also pretty easy. You can create different kinds of holes. That's a sphere, that's a cylinder, and so on. So it's quite intuitive, quite easy to use. All right, the last thing I'll do is bring my family into my site. So here I am on the site, and I want to bring in my family as a component. I'll load it in from where I've saved it. So that's loaded in, and make sure it's on the right level. So now it's constrained to the right level, and that's kind of roughly, I can see roughly where it is. I'll turn on wireframe and rotate this thing into place. I pick RO for rotate, and there's my, let me move this to the corner first. There. And then this blue line is the center of rotation. Get that lined up. It's quite easy to rotate reference. Rotate it there. And now my church is in place. That's thing started. I can start working on my project.